I still have both the guests with me. I have Major Mohammad Ali Shah joining me on the broadcast and Sanjeev Srivastav, who's a foreign affairs expert. Now, thank you, gentlemen, for staying around and waiting. I would like to take my first question to Major Shah. Now, Major Shah, it was like few days back we were discussing that Putin is now ready to get to a base ground wherein he's ready to adjust and trying to get back all the Russian forces. Now, days after those statements that were given by the Russian president, such a incident took place in Kyiv wherein one person died and several other buildings have been severely damaged as per the visuals on our screen. Sir, how do you view these developments taking up?
Rightly said by you, Fida. It's very, very sad indeed. In fact, I would call last year, 2022, though it was a few days back in December only, when President Zelensky had addressed the American Congress, and that time he had spoken to Joe Biden as well, and the next day, very next day, President Putin had spoken to Joe Biden. That conversation that Russia is not interested in prolonging the war any further, and he gave indications of the war to come to an end, and we did speak on that on your channel as well, and that this could be a good sign from President Putin that the war could come to an end, perhaps. That was a golden question, and we were all hoping for that. But a few days later, look at this, almost 100 missiles bombarded into Ukraine. In fact, I would quote on Telegram, the Kyiv mayor, Vitaly Klitschko, said that one person had been killed and 22 wounded, including a Japanese journalist, in the latest missile and drone attack on the capital. Kamikaze drones were used in this. He also added that 30% of Kyiv residents were without electricity. And President Zelensky, after this bombing, he said that I only wish on New Year's one thing for my entire nation, which is victory. That's what President Zelensky had said. And in fact, President Putin also, on the other hand, both the presidents gave New Year greetings to their respective nations, and both said boosted their morale of their troops and their nation, in fact. And in Ukraine especially, people came out of the balconies and they hailed the war heroes, they hailed the troops, they said, long live. It is a sign now. It is really getting very drastic, because just a few days back, there were signs that this war probably could come to an end. President Zelensky also said that humanity and the world would never forgive Russia. And Ukraine especially will never forgive Russia for what has happened. Now, see, the very fact is, if people get into history or whose fault, what fault, forget about that. The very fact is, humanity has suffered. There has been loss of life, loss of economy from both sides, not just both sides, but across the world, we have suffered. People indirectly, far located from the war zone, have suffered. They have been a casualty of this directly or indirectly. In fact, the Ukraine military said its defense forces had shot down many missiles also, which were fired on 31st December ahead of New Year's Eve. So they, in fact, intercepted a lot of missiles. President Putin also told that he conveyed a message that the Patriot air defense system, which US is going to give Ukraine, is an outdated system, and they have the code, they have the way to break that code. They have a way they would give a befitting reply. So they would be using redundant and outdated equipment. So this thing is very, very alarming, in fact, because if this war would not have been stopped now, see, Israel, Turkey, and India, I would call three nations who could actually bring about peace. Israel and Turkey did their bit. India also did its bit. In fact, thanks to India, only the humanitarian corridor, when the war had just started, when we launched Operation Ganga to get back over 20,000 students of ours from Ukraine. The war came to a standstill, to a break, to a ceasefire where a humanitarian corridor was provided on India's request. But now and in fact, the phone call of President Zelensky and our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in fact, that is when people were speculating that war could come to an end, but this is indeed very disturbing. This is not the way to start a new year for anyone. In fact, loss of life, it is really inhuman. So let's hope and pray that the war I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I hope the war does come to an end and this loss of humanity does not go on any further for that.
Yes, indeed, Major Shah. I would like to thank both my guests for that matter, Major Mohammad Ali Shah, for joining us this morning and giving us your views and opinions on the international stories taking rounds around the globe.